All right, so we're here today in Juneau, Wisconsin with Katie Schliepp of ShaktiShiva. And it's been a great joy getting to know Katie the last couple of years. She's been my yoga teacher and she also owns a business that does myofascial release. Katie, just to touch base with you today a little
Yeah.
bit. What is myofascial release?
Well, to truly understand what myofascial release is, I think we first need to start with what fascia is. So, fascia is a three-dimensional web of connective tissue that reaches throughout the entire aspect of your body. So, from a single cell, so it wraps around a single cell. It travels into your ligaments and tendons. It surrounds your joint capsules. It surrounds single muscles. It surrounds groups of muscles. It surrounds organs, groups of organs. It goes all the way out to the periphery of your skin. So it touches every system of the body. Um, so with that, the health when the fascia is healthy, it has characteristics of a sponge that's been wet. So if you think of a wet sponge, if you can visualize that, a wet sponge is soft. It allows fluid to move through it pretty seamlessly. You can crunch it up, and when you let it go, it kind of forms back into its normal shape. That's what healthy fascia, that's the same characteristics of healthy fascia. Now, it also has the same characteristics of a sponge when it dries out. So when the fascia gets restricted due to a trauma or a surgery, scar tissue, lack of movement, too much movement, from whatever reason the fascia will get restricted, it shrinks and hardens just like a dried out sponge does. So if you think of the fascial system, how it surrounds every aspect of the body, when it gets restricted and shrinks, just think of what that's doing to the structures it surrounds, right? It's putting pressure on nerve cells, muscles, joints. So it's going to limit range of motion. It's going to create pain. It's going to cut off communication to cells because it's also a communication pathway. So there's a lot of negative qualities that restricted fascia can manifest. So that's where we come in as myofascial release therapists. Now, the main difference here, really, between a massage, which a lot of people understand that what a massage is, and myofascial release, is we move a little bit slower and we come from a non-forceful approach. Whereas massage, we're kind of rubbing the body. If you get into deep tissue, you're kind of getting cranked on. So that's one of the main differences. And the other main difference is massage cannot affect that connective tissue system, the fascial system. It can relieve muscles. It can relieve some of the tension that you feel in the body, but it's not going to relieve those ingrained restrictions that are in the fascial system. The approach that we do as myofascial release therapists, by slowing things down and using a more gentle approach, we're able to tap into that connective tissue, the fascial system, and really help reopen things back up.
Very good. Thanks for helping put that in layperson's terms. And
I hope that was
uh,
layperson. I hope that was understandable for you guys.
I like the sponge and the stiffening. So we are talking about myofascial release, and I know you feel very passionate about it. I know I've experienced help from you, and many others have as well.
Mhm.
So why do you do myofascial release?
Well, when I first started, I'm actually a massage therapist. So back in 2006, I've been a massage therapist for a very long time.
And I might add a licensed massage therapist in the state of
Yes, of course,
Wisconsin.
of
Yes.
course, licensed. No, but to be more serious, it wasn't until about 2017 when I took one of John Barnes' myofascial release seminars that a light bulb kind of turned on, and I kind of found a way that I could truly provide lasting change for my clients through this approach. I was able to help them change their story. So a lot of people that I see come and when we have our first consultation, they talk about how, they've lived with this shoulder pain for so long and they're kind of just used to it. It's kind of the way they have to live their life. Or their low back, it just hurts every single day. They go to doctors and the doctors can't give them any answers. So I do this because I want to help them change that story to a more positive outlook. I'm able to help release that pain in the shoulder so they can throw a softball with their grandchildren. I can help release chronic low back pain so people can walk around the block. I can just help them, see a light at the end of the tunnel if they've been to a handful of doctors and haven't gotten any response or any help from the typical healthcare approach.
And so is some of these methods, the myofascial release, producing game-changing, life-changing results.
Definitely.
If you maybe had one particular story you want to share with us, what would that be?
Um, well, I have a handful of stories, but one client that kind of sticks out in mind is I worked with him. Um, it's been a while since I've worked on him, but he came to me kind of the same story is, he injured his shoulder a year before he saw me. He was working with typical doctors, the healthcare professionals, just not really seeing any results. The main thing is he was a Harley rider and he had injured his shoulder kind of mid-winter or late winter, and come springtime he wasn't able to ride his Harley because his shoulder hurt. So he went an entire summer without being able to ride his Harley. And come a year after hurting his shoulder, he was either at the point of having to go underneath the knife, his last option available, or for some miraculous reason, he was on Facebook and an ad of mine popped up. And he's like, well, I'm going to try her. My last option, I'm going to try her. So he came to see me. We chatted. I worked with him for one session. And so he's a guy, he's a Harley rider. I worked on him, so I wasn't quite sure if I'd see him again. But he gave me a call back in a few days, and he's like, I'd like to book another appointment. So we booked in another appointment. It probably was about 10 days after the first one. And when he came back, we kind of talked before our session. And he's like, I was contemplating on whether or not I wanted to make another appointment, not because it didn't work, but because I felt so good. He said about his shoulder felt 80% better in that one 60-minute session. I worked with him a few more times to really work things out and make sure his shoulder was strong and healthy. And the last time I saw him, it was right when summer was getting warmer, and he was like, "All right, it's going to be a test run this weekend. I'm going to go out on my Harley and see how my shoulder does. If it goes well, you will not see me again." I have not seen him since.
Wow. So small changes can have great impact.
Yeah.
So just want to recommend to all the viewers, check out Myofascial Release. Uh, Katie, how can people find out about you and how can they set up an appointment with you?
Well, I'm on social media, so you can go to my Facebook page, ShaktiShiva Massage Yoga. I have a website, katieschlieppwellness.com. I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube, so you can pretty much find me on all social media platforms. And you can, through my website, you can book an appointment online. There's a contact information where it has like my phone number, my email, any aspect you want to contact me, I'm available. Even just go on Facebook and message me and we can get the ball rolling too.
Great. Well, hey, thanks for doing all this today with us.
Oh yeah,
Appreciate
of
it.
course, it was my pleasure.